Welcome. Welcome. It's me, Susan Maude Buchser-Lochocki, and it is time for my town hall for this Wednesday and campaign update. Welcome. So, I need to put you somewhere. As you see, I haven't put you anywhere yet. So let me prepare my little gizmo here to hold you so that we can have our chat. But while I'm doing that, let me talk just a little bit about the State of the Union address. And that's my main focus for this talk, I think. I think it'll be that. And I found it to be actually a little... I thought I was at a sport event, and there were two teams battling it out. And, it's my first time really watching one of these things in like a group setting. Normally I watch it at home. And there's not a lot of like cheering and, although I think, I watched something else, I think about it. A year ago, I was at the Women's League of Voters, but that was a debate, I think. I'm not sure what I watched when I was there, but I saw something that felt the same. And, I have to admit, our two-party system is broken, first off. It's just, we cannot teeter from one side to the other. Not for nothing. A lot of the things that Trump has proposed have actually been declined. They're not going through. Lawyers have made lawsuits to prevent them from happening, and so he needs Congress to try to make the laws now. And so he's saying a lot of things, but truthfully, what he says is not always going to happen. So we need to start there. We need to start with the fact that he doesn't say, or the things he says are not always going to be a reality. And there are multiple ways of going about some of the things he's trying to say, and or saying, so it doesn't have to be the dark cloud one. You know what I mean? It can be the sunshine one. It can be the one where everybody wins. And, so maybe that's our job now, is to inform him about different ways to help him to maybe get and do the things that he wants, but in a healthy way, not with war, and not with assassinations, and not with conflicts and whatnot. So, yeah. So that's my first take. It was, I thought I was in, I don't know, like some bar with a lot of loud people shouting at the different sport groups, and it was a bit annoying. So I don't think I'll ever watch the State of the Union in a group event like that again. It was not at all pleasant. So, anyways. Oh, my hair. Excuse my hair. It's doing its own thing. I need about a month or two, and then it'll be under better control. Or maybe I like it like this. I don't know. I'm an artist, so I can do what I want. And a stateswoman, so I can do what I want. All right. So I was expecting a more serious. It was not a serious one. It was an entertainment one. Let me get this hair over here a little bit. So it was very entertaining, I suppose. That is the best way I can put it. And I guess, we do get our money's worth, certainly, when we have such great entertainers in front of us, right? So, but it's all, a lot of it was hot air, like I said. Earlier in the day, yesterday, there were several things that he was hoping to push forward that were canceled already before the State of the Union, so he had no time to change his speech. And then the other part of that is what else did I wanted to point out there? Yeah, that it was just entertainment and not a lot of substance. I was expecting new information, but he just repeated what we've already heard over the last month about the things that Elon Musk has discovered as far as Social Security people go and other things. So it's a little, in my opinion, redundant. I mean, how many times do we have to go, yay, you discovered some fraud? But for the same fraud, So it's time to move on to the next issue. That's what I was expecting. A real transparency, disclosure of new ideas. Or maybe the State of the Union should happen more than once a year. Maybe we should get an update, periodically. This is where I think we need a national television station where then, once a month the president could come on and give an address, like on the 4th. Every 4th of the month, he comes out and he tells us what's going on. New discoveries, so that everybody can be on the same page. Because I think some people miss some news stories and then they lag behind. And so this would sort of bring everybody to the same page. A national television show, television station, and then from there also that can be published as a recording or whatever. It could be a podcast. It could be then written as a blog. It could be made into a radio announcement. And so, we don't need to make like 100 different things. From one video, we can make like many things. And, we do need like our own USA social media platform. So again, we can reach everybody and make sure everybody has accurate information. I mean, we want to trust our government. There are times where we don't trust our government. That's true. And we shouldn't. But in normal times, the government should be truthful with the people, especially since they're working for us. Our Constitution starts with we the people. It doesn't start with we the Trump or we the Nancy Pelosi or we the Bernie Sanders, but it starts with we the people. And so it should be like a people's medium, like a social media, whatever. It can all be called the White House if we want, or we can call it USA or whatever, USA News. But we need a central location because not everybody is getting all the same information. So I have a visitor. I'm going to see if Chris wants to come on TV or on video, or I don't know. Okay, he doesn't want to. Anyway, so we need like a national radio, a national blog, a national all of this. And yeah, so I guess when you watch that, you're clearly not seeing the president representing everyone. Now, I agree that there's a lot of fraud and corruption in our government right now. So maybe there's a reason why certain things are partisan. But as you know, as far as me as a U.S. citizen goes, not only were votes of mine stolen in past elections in New York State, but now my U.S. citizen vote was not counted in West Virginia in this last election. And I heard that there are others like me. I've met other people like me. So I know we exist. U.S. citizens whose voices have been silenced. And this is unacceptable. And they were silenced by the Republicans. So what we're seeing right now is bipartisan corruption targeting. That's the best way to put it. So, like, if you know something is more this party than that party, then you focus your FBI and your secret service and secret people to do their research on that problem. And when it's the other guy's turn, then they focus on that issue. So, but I think truthfully, both organizations are working together with election fraud. Now, they use the concept that we are a republic and that it's within their right to manipulate your vote and my vote how they want. And I think that this is wrong. The Constitution starts with we the people, not we the republic. So if our founding fathers wanted us to be a real republic, they would have started it that way. They would have said, whichever parties are in charge are in charge. But they didn't. They said, we the people. And they didn't say we the men. They said, we the people. And I don't know about you, but I'm a people. You're a people. So right there, we got the Republicans thinking they have this right to just walk all over the Constitution and decide for you and me who should be president, who should be governor, who should be Secretary of State, because that person runs the election, so they definitely want to make sure they know who that person is. And this is unacceptable because our votes and our voices are not being heard. So, anyone watching who can talk to the president and talk to the Supreme Court, please do. Please let them know this is not acceptable. Because it is not acceptable. It's just not. Period. End of story. We cannot go on this way. We are not living up to our ideals, our Constitution. Our forefathers are rolling over in their graves right now. They are not happy with what the state of our country is. So I will tell you how I see the state of our country. We do have tons of potential. We do. But sadly, we have a group of people who want to create hell right here on earth. And that's what they're doing. Between wrongful incarcerations, locking people up for frivolous things, and then, letting other people go, not taking care of roads, pocketing the money for themselves, lack of infrastructure care, no self-care, pollution everywhere, and garbage everywhere. And usually, if I look back at the history, I remember when George Bush Jr. was president. And I went to Washington for some reason. There was trash everywhere. I had never seen the water, the reflecting pool for the Lincoln Memorial, and the reflecting pool on the mall so dirty as I did then. I don't know what was going on at the time. I just remember I had never seen Washington look worse. And I'm afraid to say that we've got these Christian nationals who are really trying to make hell on earth. And I think that's part of it. Now, I don't know if it was cuts in federal what do you call it? Parks care, or if it was something else, but or if it was purposefully just letting it go, firing those people who they felt were not important and just leaving it like that. But is this what the self-proclaimed greatest nation is? Yeah. So, the state of our nation is we have a lot of empty spaces. We have got a lot of buildings going derelict because nobody's using them anymore. So homes are doing it. Lots of businesses are shutting up, closing their doors. And so, I think we have a lot of potential. But if we don't start soon, we will have a disaster on our hands. So my recommendation is, I like what Trump is doing with the border, but we need to also open our border to real immigrants who are coming here to make the U.S. better. And so we need to open our doors to those people. So we need to increase. Right now, we only let about 1 million people in. We need to increase that. I mean, 1 million people could be coming from actually just one country. Whereas if we let more countries come and join and be part of our country, we would flourish a lot. But our biggest issue is really our own citizens. They've been put down and pushed around so much that the average person, we don't really have a middle class anymore. We have a lower class, and then we have poverty, and then we have severe poverty. And then we have upper class and wealthy. And I know that a lot of people who are aggressive like that. But it's only the aggressive ones who are also usually angry ones who like that sort of thing. So we need to start nurturing our own citizens. We need to move to our feminine side and nurture each other and help each other grow and become, who they can become. But we also need community care. We need definitely mother care and baby care. And this is where we're really, really lacking. And this I could see falling under my concept of a mother's league or a woman's league, where we really, nurture the environment. But we're not going to do it for free, which is what we've been doing. And this is what you get for free. So if you want nurturing and if you want self-care, then you got to pay for it with real salaries, not with token womanly salaries that are like a half of what a man earns. No. We need real salaries with real benefits. It's enough. But, you know, ever since I started running for president, I started affecting the people in power. And they like my ideas and they're trying to bring them. And so, it could be that Trump is trying, like Biden, to sort of destroy everything first and then rebuild from that. But it's not acceptable to do that and also kill off the population, which is what we're seeing in Gaza. So, no, that's not really the way to go. What we need is to rebuild what's already there. We need to maybe send people abroad to learn how to reconstruct, to work from what's there and build onto it. Because if we just keep tearing down mountains to build more buildings, soon we're not going to have any mountains anymore. And one thing too, West Virginia, I think you should stop doing mountaintop drilling and mountaintop mining and all of that and make the valleys flat, so that they're usable. So come on down to the valley and use the minerals there. I'm sure there's plenty. And make the valleys a bit wider and flatter so that people can use them. So that we're not like driving up and down mudslides all the time. And, soon, one day, it's going to rain a lot and houses are going to start sliding into each other. The way, there's lacks of trees in West Virginia and many other states too. So, this is what, for me, the state of the U.S. is. It's a little bit of a mess. We got 2 less people. We need more. And, but it's got so much potential. So, my plan would be to start a women's league. And let's start paying mothers to be mothers. So that then they have money to put into the economy, into their local neighborhoods. And they can start really living, start living a normal life, first off, because we got a lot of mothers in poverty. Then they can also get themselves out of squalor and moved into a nicer neighborhood, and they can maybe we'll have some classes to get them going on all sorts of home economic ideas and how to the new sort of motherly plan, building a community and then a safety net, and taking care of our families. So that's number one. Then for the men, I mean, not that it's divided really male female, but it definitely is something. Women are more nurturing, and that's what our country needs. And women are more, just more nurturing. Whereas men tend to be more defense and aggressive and domineering. So, it's fine, but we need to channel that too and give men a place. So that's where the, I guess the male league or the men's league will come into play. And we'll put like a give them like a shooting house where they can go and practice with their guns and their weapons, and maybe even take some martial art lessons there. It could be like the home defense league or station or something like that. And so then we can channel men's need to be security for the community. We can channel that there and give it a good, proper direction. And that way, too, men can also keep track of men to see if they're having mental issues and if they need help. And, at the Mothers League stations where there will be women and mothers congregating, also there will be like once a month a nurse that comes in to check babies and moms and even grandmas and stuff. So we could also do that for the men, that a nurse comes in and checks their vitals and make sure that they're mentally okay, and if there's any issues that maybe they could go to some rehab or something. Because I know that, back when I was younger, and I don't think it's gotten any better, there's a lot of drug abuse going on. And that also includes alcohol, because alcohol is a drug as well. Anything that alters your normal state is a drug. So, if you're abusing it, and then you ruin your body, or you get into multiple car accidents, or I don't know what, and then you have to go to the doctor, and you got to go to the doctor, and you got to go to rehab, and you got to go this and that, and all of this is written and paid for by your insurance company, then you know what? I'm paying for it too. I end up having to pay for your rehab, and that is not acceptable. I expect my fellow U.S. citizens to behave when they're adults as adults. And that means being in control of your drug intake. Drugs are fine. There's a place for them, I think, personally. I think they can be fun and useful sometimes even. And sometimes they're medicine. But as an adult, you need to be an adult and use them properly. You don't drink 10 beers and then go driving. Or you don't do shots, 3 or 4 shots and then go driving. No. That's just stupid. I don't care. I mean, unless you're like Andre the Giant, you cannot do that, because your body is just, it is too drunk then to drive. And, we definitely need to stop abusive people from abusing themselves and abusing others. Because oftentimes, too, if they're on drugs and they're abusive to themselves, they're going to be abusive to the people around them, to the women usually. And I'm going to say there are some women who get addicted to drugs too, but it's far less than the men. And this is something that we also need to work on. And that's why I think having these 2 areas in sort of every town where men can be with men and maybe get some good nurturing from men, and women can be women and get some good nurturing from women. The other part of this is there is something that I talked about recently, this past weekend, called intersex, which is a person who's born with both sex organs. And oftentimes they're both intact. So they are neither male or female, they are something in between. And depending on the situation of their life, they probably will go in one direction or another, but they are certainly welcome in both categories. And There should be no bias or anger or any hate spewed at them. We cannot help how we're born. We've seen people who are born with no arms, no legs. We have sympathy for them, right? People who are born with both sexual organs, even fully intact, we shouldn't, maybe we should have sympathy. Maybe we should look to them and say, hey, have sympathy for us, because I'm only a woman. I've only got a womb. I don't have a penis. Or if you're a man, you've only got a penis and you don't have a womb. Feel sorry for me. Maybe that's what we should do. But I think, ultimately what I'm trying to say is we have to have acceptance of each other. And, skin color also is just skin. It's just skin. Facial structures are just facial structures. They were created by nature to assist in breathing in certain regions of the world. Like our nose shapes have to do with where you were born, where your ancestors came from, and what type of nose they needed for the environment they were living in. So, if you're living near salt water, there's probably one type of nose that's best, and nature will adapt itself. And then if you're living up in, like, Alaska, for example, the people living up there have also a different nose. Or because it's so bright when there's a lot of snow, their eyes have a certain shape to them to help to keep the glare from the sun out. And, nature is amazing. We're all people, but because of where our ancestors were living is how we ended up with certain shapes that we currently have. And then also, because where we're living, we're also helping nature evolve our next generations. Because if we've moved from where we were once, where our ancestors were, to a different location, then a different nose is needed, a different shape of the eye might be needed. It's all part of nature. That's why humans are so successful at surviving, because our bodies are very adaptable. We adapt to our environment. And when a newborn baby is born, they're born into an environment. And the environment plays a role with how they end up looking and how their body is formed. But we've also seen that, if somebody said, I don't like humans with two heads. So you're saying, Siamese twins or whatever they're called now, conjoined twins or something, you're saying that they should be outlawed or something, that there's no such thing as a two-headed person, but there are. So, when I was recently talking to somebody or commenting on a post somewhere, and this man that supposed man, I don't know who he was or she was or whoever, it could be anybody, they were arguing that there was no such thing as intersex, that I was completely wrong. And, if you have never seen a two-headed person in a photograph or anywhere, even live, or a person with, 3 arms or 4 legs or something, if you've never seen anything like that, then, yeah, you're going to think I'm nuts. That's true. I mean, it sounds pretty crazy, right? A two-headed person. But these people do exist. It does happen. It doesn't happen often. I suppose if we ate certain things, we could maybe make it happen more often if we felt that that's where humanity needed to go. If we found it was better to have 4 arms than 2, we could adapt ourselves to that. There's nothing that isn't possible at this point. I think science has gone beyond what we can really imagine at this point, and we can really conjure up all sorts of things for humans. And I think people are trying all over the world, because we only have control over the science in our own country. We don't really have control over what science experiments are going on in other countries. So, with that said, there might be a lot of things going on. And then we have robots and mechanics coming into it. And we have pharmaceutical advancements and enhancements to the human being. So, to have that conversation with that guy where he just could not wrap his head around that nature might make this sometimes, that a person is born with both parts and they're both intact, that was just for him beyond belief. But, when I was younger, before we had the internet, I would also, if somebody said, there were two-headed people out there, I'd be like, huh? How can that be? But, lately on the internet, I've seen it all. I've seen all kinds of two-headed people, or people with, 3 and 4 arms. And so I think, and these people survive. They grow into adults. They certainly reach the age of 40, maybe even more. I don't know. But I think we shouldn't. How can I say it? I don't know where I was. I guess believing things and not believing things are true is a little bit where I was going with that. I'm not sure. I know. So intersex people, where do they fit in? So I really think it might be time, because I also saw a video recently of a man who was really good at the uneven bars. And a man who was really good at the uneven bars, and he was short. And, our current system really rewards people who are just in one category of talent. And maybe we need to restructure the Olympics. I mean, there was a time where the Olympics weren't going on, and I had always wondered why. And it's probably because of where we are today, too, with the Olympics. Because at this point was like the Olympics, with the men competing with men and women, and then we've got transgender people. But the real problem is we've reached the maximum that a human can run, and we've reached the maximum that a human can swim, and blah, 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 blah. The only way to break those now is with chemicals, with pharmaceuticals, with bionics. And so then we're no longer human against human. We're company against company. We are pharmaceutical against pharmaceutical, or bionics against bionics. And then that's not really the Olympics anymore. So I think we need to move to excellence rather than speed, and endurance. Endurance is still somewhat an okay, although that can be construed in a different way. So creativity and excellence, perfection, or even imperfection, or maybe so I think maybe we should open the categories not to be any more male or female, but just it's a category. So if you want to compete in gymnastics, you can pick like 5 different things you are strong at. And then you represent your country that way. So then we have A-level gymnastics, A-level ice skating, A-level soccer, A-level swimming, and then we have B-level. I think that's the best way to do it. And that way we can be more inclusive. Because, for example, when I was growing up, I was pretty. I mean, I'm not so pretty anymore, but, I was. And I was thinking, I could really be Miss America. But I never grew. And when I was younger, like the tall or the shortest Miss America person was usually about 5'7", and I only made it to 5'2.5". So I was nowhere close. But had it been more open to women of all shapes, and especially not really a swimsuit competition, I think it would have been more opening to most women. But because there seems to be this height issue, it rules out a lot of women, and, well, women are short. There just aren't a lot of tall women. So how we ended up having models and Miss Americas being so tall, I don't know, because most women are around my height. So I think we also need to rethink womanhood and what it means. Now, I don't mind if transgender, people who have had sex change operations, or if they were intersex and they had a organ removed or something like that, I don't mind if they want to compete as a Miss America. But I think that it should be recorded in that instance what category they're in. Because there could be a reason why, one might vote for them, especially because they're trans, or one might vote for them, or one might vote against them because they're trans. But then they're also voting for or against a natural woman as well, for those reasons too. So I think, we need to rethink a little bit these sort of things, but this is more public conversation. We don't need government involvement in this issue. We do need to remove professional sports from school. It has no place in school. No. And, school sports should be about fitness, not about being number one. That's where our biggest problem is. And most countries do it that way. The U.S. is one country that puts professional sports right in the schools. And it's not acceptable. We are so focused on us against them constantly. It starts from the very beginning. And it's not acceptable. It divides people and creates hate. So we need to learn to work in community together. That's what schools should be focusing on. And schools should be focusing on developing better health. Because what happens is, you've got these sporting clubs, right, at school, and then they start moving more into professional athletes, and then a lot of people who would like to stay in have to leave because they're not keeping up with the quality. And so then they get depressed, of course, and then they become less fit. And this is what we're not trying to do. So, a lot of our education system is broken. We need to move, as you know, to an apprenticeship system, which would be great because we can teach then kids how to fix a road, how to take care of a building and a bridge, so that these things can stop crumbling down. And then we can also teach kids how to run a business and how to grow a business, or how to be a farmer, or how to be a store clerk, or how to be a grocery manager, or how to be a lawyer, or how to be a nurse or a doctor, or auto mechanic. So there are so many things that we can do in school that are useful that we're really not doing right now. And we're creating cliques and gangs and us against them, and it's just not really functioning anymore. So, yeah. So I would be, if I were president, focusing on the future and growing our country, people-wise and nurturing-wise. We forgot about our most important asset, and that's the mother. The second one is the home, and the third one is community. We lost it all because everybody's out for money. Everybody wants money, money, money. And this is where we've gone wrong, but it's not too late to change. So I would be focusing on those things, working with Congress to write whatever new bills and pass them, one right after the other. You don't need to do executive orders. I mean, you can, but since you're not in Congress, you can't. An executive order is useless. So whatever executive orders are being done are just show. It's just showman stuff, because the real work is done by Congress. So if President Trump really wants to see action, he needs to go and sit down with the House of Representatives, because they're the ones that write the laws, and figure out how to implement a new education system. Get your educational leader and sit down with them, with the group that's working on education, write that law, walk it through, talk to Congress, talk to everybody, and get it done. We don't need like these big packages with 100 different concepts in there. We need that. We need one, and then we need another, and then we need another. The other part we should probably do is just say, you know what, let's just start all over. And let's just wipe the slate clean and start. And let's go through and rewrite the Constitution. You have already some thinkers with you. You need a few more. I would recommend myself, since you do seem to like my ideas and you're using a lot of them. So clearly you like my thoughts too. So we can sit down together and with a whole bunch of others, and we can come up with a cleaner, up-to-date Constitution. I know it was meant to grow and stuff like that, but it was also meant to be rewritten once in a while. And our founders, a lot of them were from Europe and from places like Switzerland. And our Constitution in the U.S. is inspired a lot by the constitutions of countries in Europe. And then Europe was also inspired by our Constitution. So, we've been going back and forth inspiring each other. And where they have updated their constitutions like 100, 200 years ago, it's time for the U.S. to update theirs. And so, about every 200 years, it's sort of time. And we're over time. Some of the wording is really funny in the Constitution where nobody can understand it anymore. And, we're guessing at what the meanings were. But the other part of that is society changes, especially countries change as they become more developed. And things that were okay in the past are not okay today. So what I can say, what I experienced in Switzerland is, and since we got a lot of our concept of our family unit and things from Europe, certainly from Rome and from Christianity and Islam and also Judaism, is there was a time where a lot of work was done around the home. There had to be somebody in the home. And then there was somebody who was not in the home, an adult who would go out and make money. And then it was a sort of a corporation. Two people came together and made a corporation, and then they were together. And because of different things, society pressures, family units stayed together, sometimes whether they liked each other or not, because they had to, because, they had no choice. But, and certainly there were even laws made against it. So as it turns out, women did not have so much freedom in the U.S. There were laws against women having freedom in the United States in the past. And we were basically indentured slaves for sure, and a lot of women still are today. So we need to free the final slaves and let women really be women. So we need to be paid to be mothers. We need to be paid to be prostitutes. We need to be paid to be caregivers. And not minimal salaries, not like, minimum wage. We need real salaries. Real salaries. So I think growth in our country will start there. I think we need to nationalize a few things. Like I said, a radio station, a TV station, social media, because the media, the profit monger media, they will go whoever is the highest bidder. So they're not telling the truth anymore. Nothing's true anymore. And then even government is also gone to the highest bidder. And again, it's not truthful. So we are corrupt, sadly, and quite a bit. And I don't know how far it goes because I'm not president, so I don't have that information. But there is a guy who's got the information, and he knows what's going on. And I just hope he's transparent. I mean, he's being transparent right now, which is good. And, I don't understand how men deal with each other. So some of the things that Donald Trump does is certainly not what I would do. But I'm not a man. I do it in a womanly way. And that there is a difference. Men and women and even intersex, we're not the same. We do things differently. And it's okay. I just want transparency. I want to know what's going on. Because it's my country too. So, there's nothing preventing us from being a wealthier nation in heart and spirit and love and in finance too. But we can't do it if we're battling each other either. We've got to do it together. So let's go to sleep. This is what I would have said last night. Let's go to sleep, and tomorrow is another day. And we'll get up and we'll do it tomorrow. Okay. So anyway, I know it's not the ruckus that we saw in Donald Trump, and if that's the kind of sport mentality that we gotta have, I'm sorry. I don't. I'm a communicator, philosopher, stateswoman, honest citizen. And that's how I do it. I'm not into the mumbo jumbo entertainment thing. So that you won't get from me. Anyway, thank you for stopping by. That was a little bit everywhere, but yeah, and there's a lot more to say. I'm just, we got the Epstein stuff coming up. We got some abortion issue things coming up. So it's, maybe he needs to do a State of the Union every month. That I would like that. Although it doesn't have to be so showman-like, It can be a little just talking, discussing. That would be great. Okay. Anyways, thanks for stopping by. I'm going to continue trying to fight the election fraud and manipulation corruption that we've got. So that's my job, I guess. I'm working on that. And women's issues. Okay. Thanks for stopping by. I wish you a nice day wherever you are. Oh, and I haven't conceded, so, I'm still available to be President, Supreme Court, anytime you want to use my lawsuit. All right. That's it. If you want to find out more about me, it's Susan4USA.com. That's Susan, the number 4, USA.com. Message approved. Tschüssli.